Hey everybody, and welcome to week 4 of the design month here for the Gear 1 RPG project. This week what we're going to be doing is setting up a spike trap. So this is going to be an environment trap that is going to hide underground, and then when our player walks over it, it's going to trigger a series of spikes to rise up out of the floor and deal damage to us. So what we need to do to start that is start setting up the actual game object that we'll be doing this with. So what we want to do is go to our resources folder, go to prefabs, and then weapons, and we're going to find the trap spikes object, and we're just going to drag that out onto our scene. Here in the temple scene, things are actually, the whole level is actually rotated slightly, so I'm not going to rotate my traps. I'm going to keep them kind of out to the diagonal here. It won't affect anything for us with how it actually works. It's just I don't want to put any weird rotations on anything before we move that out into our scene. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click on trap spikes, and we're going to hit create empty. We're going to drag that empty object out, and we're going to call this spike trap. And then what we're going to do is hit create empty again, this time right clicking on spike trap and hit create empty, and we're going to say spike row, just like that. Now let's grab that trap spikes object and make it a child of the spike row. We're going to set the Y value for the spike row to -0.5. I'm sorry, that was rotation. We want Y position to -0.5. That's going to move it underground. Or over here. Oh, right. I know why that is. So you guys will encounter this too. So we'll fix this live here. So you'll notice we made this object, this spike trap object was a child of the trap spikes. Now what we accidentally did is we accidentally gave this scale. You see our spike traps have the scale of 66 here. Now spike row and spike trap also have those scales set really high. So we want to set those scales down to 1 like this by clicking on each object and making sure those scales are set to 1. So you have spike row and spike trap, both with their scale, all three set to 1 here. So then we make the row a child of the trap again, and then we make these spikes a child of the row. And now we set the Y value to -0.5. Oh, it also looks like we have some funky rotation. So we can also fix that pretty easily. You see if we select the spike trap, we see rotation is 0, or was set to 90. We're going to set that to 0. And that's going to orient everything the way we need. Now we can grab the trap spikes and make that a child of spike row. Make spike row move down 0.5 units. 0.5, just like that. Well, we're going to move it a little lower. That should be okay, because what we can do is we can just slide the whole object down. But now with those set to 0.5 is I'm going to rise that up just a touch here. And what I'm going to do is with the trap spikes object selected, I'm going to duplicate this 3 times. So I'm going to say duplicate 1, and then holding control, I'm going to drag to the right. That's going to line up the edges of that pretty well there. I'm going to do it 2 and 3, just like that. So now we have this row of spikes that if we select the spike row, we can see if we were to move that around, it would move all 4, right? So I'm going to undo that movement, and then I'm going to duplicate the spike row now, slide that over holding control, and then duplicate it 1 more time, sliding that over as well. So we want to have 3 spike rows and our spike trap all set up. I know that was a lot with the with setting up the empty game objects. So just to remind you how those should be set up, the empty objects should have a scale of 1 and 0 rotation, and then the spikes should all have a rounded 90-degree X rotation and 66 for all their scales. So if things look wonky, just double check that your scales are set up properly, and if you have to restart from the beginning, it's even probably easier to do that than to try to fix everything while they're all childed and parented of each other. But once you've got that done, go ahead and save your scene.